Okay, so here we are. We've got Angela has read her poem and Miss Hart has called on Ruby. Let's find out what Ruby does. What do you think she's going to do? Ruby stood and recited slowly. I had a nice pet who I never met, but because it always stayed behind me, and I'm sure it was a cat too. Ruby smiled at the back of Angela's head. Someone whispered. Ruby sat down. What a coincidence, murmured Miss Hart. Look at Miss Hart. She's like going, oh, I can't believe you, Ruby. She's frustrated with Ruby. Look at Angela. She's not happy. But look at Ruby. She's just over here. She's just proud as can be. And did you hear what her poem said? Because it was kind of like Angela's. She said, I had a nice pet. Well, Angela's was kind of about a pet, wasn't it? Who I never met. And Angela said she didn't meet hers in her poem. She said, because it always stayed behind me. Yep, that's kind of like what Angela said. And I'm sure it was a cat, too. She's tried to copy Angela's poem, hasn't she? She's made hers about a cat who stayed behind her, who was a pet. She has tried really hard to copy Angela's poem, and we can see that that has made Angela very frustrated. It's even made Miss Hart kind of frustrated, hasn't it? She's kind of upset with Ruby. What do you think is going to happen? They're all frustrated and upset with Ruby. I wonder what they're going to do. Well, Angela scribbled something on a piece of paper and she passed it to Ruby. And the note said, and look at these words, how they got big and bold down here. That lets us know that Angela is upset, doesn't it? Let's read what her note said. You copied me. I'm telling Miss Hart. P.S. I hate your hair that way. Oh my goodness. We really know how Angela feels now, don't we? She said, I hate your hair that way. I'm telling Miss Hart you copied me. Ooh, Angela's feeling upset, isn't she? Ruby buried her chin in the collar of her blouse, so her chin went down to her shirt, her blouse. A big tear rolled down her nose and plopped onto the note. When the bell rang, Miss Hart sent everyone home except for Ruby. Oh, Ruby's very sad now, isn't she, when she read Angela's note? She's very upset. Maybe she didn't understand that Angela didn't like her copying. And it's made her very sad that Angela said that. Let's see what Miss Hart has to say to her. Miss Hart smiled and closed the edge of the schoolroom. She sat on the edge of Ruby's desk. Ruby, dear, she said gently, you don't need to copy everything Angela does. You can be anything you want to be, but be Ruby first. I like Ruby. Was Miss Hart mad at her? No, she wasn't, was she? She just told her very nicely that she didn't need to copy Angela, didn't she? She said, be anything you want to be, but first be who? Be Ruby. That's right. Think about what makes Ruby special. What are Ruby's talents? What's good about Ruby instead of just copying, right? She just wants Ruby to be herself, doesn't she? And she told her, I like Ruby. Yeah. Well, Miss Hart smiled at Ruby, and Ruby smiled at Miss Hart's beautiful polished fingernails. Look at Ruby. Look what she's doing. She's looking at Miss Hart's fingernails. What do you think's going to happen? Have a nice weekend, said Miss Hart. Have a nice weekend, said Ruby. What do you think Ruby's going to do? She's staring and smiling at Miss Hart's fingernails. We know how when she smiled at stuff before what she did. On Monday morning, Miss Hart said, I hope everyone had a pleasant weekend. I did. I went to the opera. Miss Hart looked around the room. Does anyone have something to share? Ruby waved her hand, and glued to every finger was a pink plastic fingernail. Look at Ruby's fingers. Glued to every finger was a pink plastic fingernail. What has she done? She just tried to copy Miss Hart, hasn't she? What do you think Ruby's going to say? She's raised her hand. What do you guess? Well, let's hear what she said. I went to the opera too, said Ruby. She did not, whispered Angela. Look at Angela's face. Ooh, Angela's tired of Ruby's copying, isn't she? Miss Hart folded her hands and looked very serious. Ruby, dear, said Miss Hart, did you do anything else this weekend? So we know Ruby didn't go to the opera like Miss Hart, did she? She didn't. So Miss Hart's giving her a chance. She said, did you do anything else this weekend? She's letting her have a chance to tell what she really did this weekend. What do you think Ruby's going to say? Let's see. Ruby peeled off a fingernail. I hopped, said Ruby. The class giggled. Ruby's ears turned red. Look, she's getting embarrassed because they laughed when she said she hopped. But I did. I hopped around the picnic table 10 times. Ruby looked around the room. Watch. Ruby sprang from her desk. She hopped forward. She hopped backward. She hopped sideways with both eyes shut. The class cheered and clapped their hands to the beat of Ruby's feet. Ruby was the best hopper they had ever seen. Miss Hart turned on the tape player and said, follow the leader. Do the Ruby hop. So the Ruby led the class around the room while everybody copied her. Now, Ruby's truly being herself, isn't she? She's showing what she's good at. What's she good at? She's good at hopping. Remember every day at lunch it would say she hopped home on one foot, she hopped home sideways, she hopped home backwards. She was really good at hopping. So now she's truly showing her talents, what makes her unique, what makes her special, instead of just copying, right? That's so much more important than being a copycat, isn't it? Being yourself. Yeah. And so everybody got to get up and copy Ruby now for a minute and have fun hopping around the room. Look at them all having a fun time hopping. I'm so glad Ruby learned to be herself finally, didn't she? And at noon, Ruby and Angela hopped home for lunch. I hope you enjoyed that story, Ruby the Copycat. Ruby learned something really important, didn't she? She learned to be herself. And she learned that she was special. She didn't have to copy anybody else. She was special just the way she was. Yeah. Okay, it's time for you to show me what really happened in the story. So you'll write about the ending of the story in your journal, what happened, and then you will upload on Seesaw your pictures and show me what you wrote. And then on page 2, you'll have the part where you put the pictures in order and you retell the story. You tell me what happened in that story. I can't wait to see your pictures and to hear you reading what you wrote.